Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, my name is Dr. Himanshu Tyagi and I am teaching this course on heat and mass transfer. Let us continue with the next lecture today. So today's lecture is the 12th in this series and it is titled Finite Difference Method Part 2. So we will continue where we had left off in Part 1 and let us go through a brief recap of the first part of this numerical method. In that lecture, I talked about using numerical techniques such as finite difference method, and the program that I use is called Scilab. So this is a screenshot of a particular program that I have made along with a typical solution that we obtain in one-dimensional steady state heat transfer, as is shown in this particular plot over here. Then we went on and looked at some simple cases of 1D steady state heat conduction where no heat generation is taking place. So we get linear profiles of temperature, both heat traveling on the left side in the positive direction and on the right hand side in the negative direction over here. Then we try to incorporate the use of the energy generation term, and as expected we would get the parabolic profile both upwards and downwards depending on the sign of the energy generation term over here. If it is positive, then the temperature in the mid plane increases. If it is negative, then the temperature goes down. And we also saw the results for non-symmetrical boundary conditions. So here the parabolic profile remains, the profile remains parabolic, but it is no longer symmetrical. So we saw very interesting results, and these are kind of recap that we did. Temperature profile for transient case we also saw. Then we moved on to actually learning the finite difference method. So this is one of the numerical techniques which is available and it is kind of straightforward. So it is very nice to begin with. So we went and looked into the solution for the first case, which is steady state 1D heat transfer inside a plane wall geometry. So if you see on the right hand side over here, I tried to take a very simple geometry with 1D heat transfer taking place in a plane wall, and we took 5 nodes as an example over here. So capital N is equals to 5. In this particular example on the top right hand side, we divided into equal elements, and then we differentiated 2 type of nodes. One is the interior node and we labeled them 2, 3 and 4, and there were 2 half boundary nodes, the node 1 and node 5, because they have half the area compared to the others. So this is something which we already have done. Then we went and chose one of the interior nodes. Over here I chose node 3 and did an energy balance on that particular node. So we went ahead and did an energy balance, which turns out to be a very simple equation written in red brackets over here. We solved it and finally we got this particular solution for node 3. Once we do the whole exercise for node 3, then we didn't have to do it again for node 2 and node 4. So we went on and wrote based on the pattern that we are seeing on the right hand side of the screen over here. So node 2 and node 4 results were also obtained immediately, and we in fact generalized it over here as is shown over here, that we can write it for any nth node. So we took the node number n, and assuming it to be an interior node, we can write this particular equation. And we want to generalize things because in any program that we are running, whether it is Scilab or MATLAB or Octave, we want to use the for loop to avoid writing as much of the code as possible. So let the computer do the calculation based on a generalized statement of principle that we give to the computer with the help of an equation. And the only thing that we will specify is the left side, the right side boundary condition in the form of the exterior node or the boundary nodes. So, let us look where we had left off. So, I had written over here to be continued that we were looking at one of the boundary nodes, boundary node number 1. So, we did the energy balance for this case also, and this black equation that we got at bottom, this is where I think we had stopped. So, let us continue from here, and what we wanted to do was to simplify this particular equation. So, I will use the next slide to simplify this particular equation, and then let us try and see how does this equation fit with the others that we have already written before it. Okay. So, let us go ahead and try and use that particular black equation once again, and why don't I go back and maybe I will rewrite it over here quickly. So, H left area T left minus T1. This is the heat coming in through convection, then Ka T2 minus T1 divided by delta x. This is the heat coming in from node 2 via conduction plus E dot A delta x by 2. And this is the last term over here, the E dot term is essentially the amount of energy which is being generated in that particular node per unit time. So, all these terms have the units of watts, and we notice that over here we have this factor half over here delta x by 2, because the interior node is having half the volume over here. Like we can see over here, this particular shaded region, its thickness is actually delta x by 2. So, this is the equation where we had stopped. Now, let us go ahead and try and solve it further. What we are going to do is, we are going to divide throughout by, or we will multiply by. So, we multiply this equation by delta x by k, and let us see what do we get over here. So, the first term over here becomes h delta x by k. One more thing we can do straight away is we can go ahead and cancel the areas A, because it is common in all the terms. So, what we are left with is T L minus T 1 plus T 2 minus T 1 plus delta E x square by 2 k is equals to 0, right. Now, let me go ahead and ask a question that what is this first term over here, what is it equal to? And I think we have probably answered that in couple of slides back. So, why don't we move back a little bit? Yeah, it is in the last slide itself. So, it is equivalent to the Biot number, and because we have two heat transfer coefficients, one on the left side and one on the right side of the wall. So, we will also define two Biot numbers. So, the first one will, this one will become Biot number for the left side multiplied by T L minus 1 plus T 2 minus T 1 plus E dot delta x square by 2 k equals to 0. So, what I want to write this equation is, so this is the final solution that we have obtained for node 1. I will just rewrite it in such a way so that it becomes little bit user friendly. So, what I mean by that is, I will write first in terms of T1, then in terms of T2. So, T1 we get one expression from here, another term from here. So, if I take the minus sign out, I can probably write it as 1 plus Biot left. Then I want to write it in terms of T2, and it simply becomes plus T2. And everything else I want to take on the other side, I want to take on the right hand side over there. So, what I get over there is this first term over here. So, what I will get is Biot left T left minus E dot delta x square by 2 k. So, this is the final thing that I will put a boundary on over here, and this will become the equation for node 1. This is similar to the equation that we already had over here for node 3, node 2 and node 4. So, we add to that node 1 as well, which means we have figured out the equations from node 1 to node 4. So, please again we will go ahead and remind ourselves why are we doing all these calculations is to just figure out that under steady state in this particular wall of a certain length having these properties of air, hot air on one side, hot air on the other side, what would be the final temperature profile look like? If we were solving it analytically, we would have found the solution Tx equals to an expression on the right hand side. If it is a linear slope, so the expression on the right hand side will be simply first order function of x. If it is a parabolic curve, it would be second order function of x. Over here, we are not having t as a function of x. Instead, the whole curve we have divided into discrete nodes. So, in my example, I have taken 5 nodes. So, the final answer should be T1 equals to this, T2 equals to this. So, we are solving for T1 5 variables from T1 to T5. Now, if we have 5 variables, we must have 5 equations and then we can very easily solve it using some mathematical tools. So, 4 equations we already have. Let us write the 5th equation, which will be for node number 5. And maybe in the interest of time, what I will do is, instead of deriving the whole thing like I did for node 1, I think students will understand that the whole thing will remain almost similar. It will be a half node because it is a boundary node. The only thing that will change is that it will happen on the right hand side. So, what we can draw over here is that this will be node 4 over here, this will be node 5, which is the exterior node. I will write it slightly over here. First, I will draw this will be node 5, this will be node 4, and this will be the boundary between them. So, the distance between them is delta x, and the thickness of the last node is going to be delta x by 2. The conditions over here are Tr and Hr. These are the properties of air, and I can shade the node number 5, so that this is what we are focusing on. So, again we can do the energy balance over there, all the heat transfer coming in inside node 5 minus the amount of heat which is being generated is equals to the amount of heat which is being stored. In this case, it will be 0. So, the same process we will do like in node 1, because it is a half node, but in this particular case the expression will turn out to be something like this. So, on the right hand side we have HRA Tr minus T5 plus the conduction from the node 4 is going to be Ka T4 minus T5 divided by delta x plus the energy generation term we will have to put. So, that will be E dot delta A by 2, and this whole thing will be equal to 0. So, now we can see some sort of a similarity between the node 5 and the node 1 equations over here, which means I am going to skip some of these points over here because the process remains exactly same. Just as I have simplified node 1, similarly I will simplify node 5, with the only difference being that the Biot number I will define for the right hand side, BIR is equals to HR delta x by K. So, if I make this substitution, so I will have a similar equation for node 5, which will appear like this. So, over here it will be T4 minus T5 1 plus BI on the right hand side is equals to, I take everything on the right side, it will be minus BIR TR minus E dot x square by 2K. So, let me put a boundary on this equation as well, and I will write that this is for node number 5. So, let us see, now we have finally 5 equations in which we have 5 unknowns, and what are those unknowns? Let us go ahead and put them in red color over here. So, this is an unknown, I want to find T4, T5 is also unknown, over here T1 is unknown, then T2 is unknown. If I go back to the previous 2 slides over here, so these are the unknowns that we are talking about, T2, T3, T4. So, all the T's, all the temperatures are actually unknown, except for them everything else is known. So, all the E dot, the properties, the geometries, everything is known to us. So, why do not we do one thing? Let us write all these 5 equations down for node starting from node 1 to node 5 on a single sheet, so that we can start seeing some symmetry and some patterns emerge over there. So, let me go ahead and write this equation in this form. So, what I am going to do is, let me see if I can write it over here. These are the 5 terms. What I am going to do is make a 5 by 5 matrix. And putting these dots will be really helpful to me, because then I can write them in a scattered way. Okay. So, let me go ahead and try to do that. So, if I remember the equation for node 1, that is what I am writing first. So, it says T1 bracket starts 1 plus BIL, this is the first term, then I will add a plus T2 to it, and on the right hand side over here I will get minus BIL TL minus E dot delta x square divided by 2k, and this is for node number 1. If I want to check what I have just written over here, I will go back very quickly. So, this is the equation that I just wrote using the black ink on the right hand side. So, we can confirm the coefficients for T1, T2 and the right hand side over here. So, the coefficient for T1 is minus this, T2 is 1, on the right hand side we get that. I hope this point is clear, that is why I am doing it little bit slowly. Now, I have to write the next equation which will be for node 2. Then I will write for node 3, then for node 4, and finally I will write for node 5. So, in order to write for node 2, let us go back 2 slides, and what I want to write is this equation over here. So, now we can see the coefficients, there will be a T1 minus 2 T2, T3 and then something on the right hand side. So, let us go and remember from our memory, I can write it is going to be over here I will get T1. Then I will get minus 2 T2, then third term will be plus T3, everything else is 0, is equal to, on the right hand side what do I get, minus E dot delta x square by k, and this we can double check. So, I would encourage students to double check this, so that there is no mistake over here, and it is very important to write this matrix very carefully, because then we will be able to see a very good diagonal pattern emerge over here. So, if I ask a question that node 2, 3 and 4 had similar equations, so based on the screen over here, if I know the equation for node 2, without going back I can even write for node 3. So, let us see how do I write that. So, just T1 becomes T2, minus 2 T2 will become over here minus 2 T3, and over here it will become T4. Right hand side will remain same, E dot square by k. You see how easy it becomes. Then for T4 again I will repeat the same pattern. So, I will just write this will become. So, if I can draw that pattern over here, now I am drawing some diagonal lines over here. So, we can see some sort of a pattern emerging over here, something over here. And all the other terms are simply 0. So, I think it becomes very beautiful, and it is like minus 2 T4, this will be plus T5, and the right hand side is the same, E dot delta x square by k. And the last one will turn out to be again a boundary node. So, maybe I will continue with the same over here, then this becomes T4, and the last term over here becomes minus T5 1 plus BIR, and this is equals to, so I will get perhaps something similar to this first node over here. So, first node and fifth node right hand side we can see will appear to be similar. So, this is BIR TR minus E dot delta x square by 2k. So, isn't this very nice? So, we are getting very beautiful diagonal pattern over here that we can see, and all the other terms are 0. Now, this is a very simple set of linear equations. We have 5 variables T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, and we have 5 equations. So, I can go ahead and solve them. In order to simplify it and automate it, maybe I will go ahead and write it in matrix form as well. So, let me go ahead and do that. So, based on this 5 by 5, I will again try to make a matrix. Let me see if I can wrap it up over here. Then I will multiply it by some variable, and then on the right hand side I will get another matrix over here. Then here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. This time maybe I will pick another color. So, the first term over here, by the way, these variables are going to become T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, and I will call it matrix T over here. This whole thing will become a constant. So, I will write it in green over here, it will become A. Then I have a equal to sign over here, and the right hand side this whole will also be a constant. So, this will be B. So, let me go ahead and write these equations down over here. So, the first equation that I will write is minus 1 plus B I left over here, and then what I will get is term 1 over here, and rest of the matrix is 0, right. We will write it little bit here. So, this is the first term, this is the second term. Then we get 1 minus 2 1 0 0. Then we get 0 1 minus 2 1 0. At 0 0 1 minus 2 1. At 0 0 0 1, and the last term becomes this 1 plus B I into R. So, if by chance any student is having confusion that how do we convert these set of 5 linear equations into matrices, you do not need to worry, just go ahead and revise your mathematics a little bit. You will remember all these things. This is part of syllabus that we usually cover in the school level. So, just revise it, and this everything on the right hand side will come as it is. So, this will become minus B I L T L minus E dot delta x square by 2k. So, what I am doing is I am just writing these things over here. The second term becomes minus E dot delta x square by k. Third term also becomes minus E dot delta x square by k. Fourth term same thing, and the last term comes from over here. So, minus B I R T R minus E dot delta x square by 2k. So, we will recheck whether we did the whole thing correctly or not, and the whole thing finally turns out to be a simple matrix like this. And if you remember, should I go back, or we should spend little more time over here? Maybe we will go back very quickly and then come back over here. So, we started this whole exercise for this particular chapter with the motivation that we want to find temperature at various x points, and I had given the hint that we are just solving this particular matrix over here. So, T is simply A inverse into B. So, all these yellow circles that I have made, these are the things that we had done in the previous lecture, and now we go back to our matrix, which is very beautiful over here, and let me put a yellow mark over here that this is actually our solution. So, this is our solution. Okay. And that is it. We have solved our problem that we had started with. So, we write A T equals to B, and finally, T turns out to be A inverse B. So, the way I look at this particular steady state one dimension conduction problem is that for us as students or as engineers, we just have to discretize the whole wall into certain number of nodes, and the computer will do the rest, because all this matrix information we can very easily feed into the computer, and there we do not even need to limit ourselves to 5 number of nodes. There we must actually go with higher number of nodes. So, the length of the wall, if it is fixed, we should try and divide it into maybe 50 or 100 or more number of nodes, and I will give the reason for that also, that delta x is given as, if you remember, L divided by n minus 1, and it so happens that error is actually proportional to either to the linear power or to the square power, or it is directly related to delta x. So, what it means is, if I want to reduce error, I must have low values of delta x in my program. And what does that mean? That if delta x I want to reduce, so L is usually fixed, then n I have to increase. So, I have to keep a large value of n, and this is important both for the steady state as well as for the transient state that we will study in just a little while. But before we move on to the next state, which is the next stage, which is the transient one, I hope everybody has understood this part. If not, then please go ahead and revise this particular portion yourself once again, because this is the most fundamental part of the heat of the finite difference method, and I have tried to spend some extra time over here just to illustrate this point, that how do we get discrete temperature points instead of slope in this particular case. So, please go ahead and revise. It is very interesting thing. If we do it properly, then the computer program, it will give us the appropriate results. Okay. With that, let us try and move on to another interesting thing which we want to cover in the finite difference method, and that one is the transient analysis. Because you remember 2 lectures back we did one solved example for transient analysis, where we said if we bring a book inside a air conditioned room and the temperature of the book was uniform but very high when it has come inside the room, and we wanted to figure out how fast the temperature actually drops. And based on that, I had given some solution based on one of the programs created in Scilab. So, let us try and see how do we do the transient analysis using FDM, finite difference method over here. So, the discretization part I will not spend time much over here, because that process remains the same. So, just for illustration point, we will again divide it into 5 different nodes, and then we will put some boundary over there, and immediately it will become clear that nodes. So, I will put some node number over here, node 2, 3, 4 and 5. So, it becomes clear that the node 2, 3 and 4 are the interior nodes. So, I will shade them like this, and node 1 and node 5, what I am going to do is I am going to shade with the orange color over here. Process remains the same, that we are going to write that energy balance equation once again. So, energy balance equation in this particular case will now have a right hand side term as well. So, this was all the sigma q dots, all the heat transfer coming in from all direction. This, you remember, was the generation rate, and this was rho c del T by del T. So, now this is the new part that we are going to study, and these are the things on the left hand side we have already done it before, but the part of with this Swiggy line on the right hand side, now we want to figure out that if the temperature is changing with time in this particular wall, if the whole thing started with 10 degree, then we are heating the wall, how does the temperature actually change? So, let us try and write this particular equation down over here. So, for 1D case and maybe for an interior node, so again I will start with node number 3. So, let me write this first term for node number 3. What are the sums of all the heat transfers actually coming in from all the sides? So, there are two heat transfers coming in, one is from this side to node 3 and then one is from this side, right? And we don't know the exact direction, so we will just add them together like I mentioned earlier, and the signs will take care of the direction by themselves. So, what will be the first heat conduction amount? That is simply T2 minus T3 divided by delta x. The second one will be T4 minus T3 divided by delta x. The amount of heat generation rate is energy generated per unit volume multiplied by the volume. So, this is the volume term over here. And now the temperature of this particular element is actually going to increase. So, if I put some dots over here, now we know the temperature over here is going to increase. So, how its temperature going to increase? So, it will become rho C. So, here instead of dt I will put some delta t. So, now we are talking in terms of delta t time intervals as well. So, since I am talking about node 3, I want to find out its temperature at two different points. Now comes the interesting point. So, what we have to do now is at the same node T3, we have to figure out that before and afterwards, before the heat transfer took and after the amount of heat transfer has taken place, temperature should have risen if the net heat flow and generation total is positive. Let us assume it is positive for just a little while. Now, what we are going to do is I will put some superscripts over here. So, initial temperature was T3 and the superscript is I. So, please remember this is not the power, this is superscript. And like we have discretized the distance over here. So, you can see my red pointer over here. What we have done, we have discretized the distance in terms of this delta x over here. You remember we have done that in the previous lecture. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to discretize time. So, time we will say is increases in steps of delta t, right. So, at ith step temperature of node 3 is T3I, then at I plus 1th step, and the difference between these two I and I plus 1 is exactly equal to delta t. So, we are adding delta t time steps just like we add the delta t x step, delta x distance steps. So, temperature of node 3 after one more time step it becomes I plus 1. In other words, at the first time step, and what does first time step mean for heat transfer engineers? They will say it is the initial condition. So, temperature of node 3 is simply T31. At second time step, temperature of node T3 is node 3 at the second time step. So, please remember in this particular set of calculation, the superscript does not mean power, that it is T3 square or T3 cube, it is just the time step. I hope that point is clear. Now, we come back to our node 3 equation on the bottom left side over there. Now, you see I am writing these superscript with the red colors. Now, I have another question for students, that should I also put superscripts on the left hand side, because I have these temperatures over here. I have temperature T2, T3, T4 and T3. So, the answer is yes, I have to put those superscripts, and in this particular set of examples I will put the superscript I plus 1 on all of them. I plus 1, this is I plus 1 and this is I plus 1. And when I choose to put the I plus 1 superscripts on the left hand side as well, what technically I have done is, if I am choosing I plus 1, then what it means, I am using the implicit method or the implicit scheme. There is another scheme which I could have chosen, that would have been the explicit scheme, That is much easier compared to the implicit scheme, but it is less powerful. So, implicit scheme may be little difficult, but it is very powerful. So, towards the end of today's lecture, we will figure out what does this word powerful mean, and the answer would be in terms of stability, that implicit scheme is usually always stable. We can take large time steps, like you remember over here we are talking in terms of delta t. So, this delta t, or even in the bottom of this particular equation, this delta t will be some numerical value in seconds, just like delta x in our previous example turned out to be delta x was L divided by n by 1, and L value we have taken 10 centimeter, n value we have taken 5. So, this turned out to be 2.5 centimeter. This is something that we have chosen. Similarly, in our Scilab or MATLAB or any other language wherever we write the program, we will also have to choose the delta t value, and we can maybe choose as 1 second, or we can choose maybe as 5 second or any other value, and that value will actually tell how fast our processing goes. If I take delta t very small, I will get very good accuracy, stability will be very nice, but the computational will be it will keep on going on forever. So, the computational cost will be very high in that terms. So, I am trying to explain 2 or 3 concepts together, but please pay more attention to this particular equation over here. So, this is the mathematical equation that I am putting a boundary over here on. So, if this point is clear to the students, then I will move on to the next node. So, node 3, I think this point I have spent a lot of good time over here. What I will do next is I will try to simplify this equation. So that I can write it more neatly, and the way I will do that is I will multiply again by, I will have to multiply it by I think one small mistake I have made somewhere. Let me go ahead and check this particular point. Yes, over here it should not be rho, it should be actually rho multiplied by the volume. So, I am writing it in the purple color over here, because volume will also be there, otherwise units will not match. This thing you can take care of yourself. I just recalled that volume is missing over here. If I put volume over here, all the terms turns out to be in terms of watts. So, please check this particular point, and you remember volume of any particular node, interior node, we can always write as area multiplied by delta x. So, what I am trying to do over here is, now I am going to multiply this whole equation. So, I will say multiply this whole equation by delta x divided by k. Okay. Now, let us see what happens, and in addition to this I am going to cancel out all the areas, because you can see area is coming in every term. Area is in the first term, the second term, the third term, and it will also be included in the volume term, because volume itself is area times delta x. So, I am going to do 2 of these substitutions over here. So, let me erase this particular point. So, what we get by doing that, in the first term what will we get? It will simply be T2 minus T3. So, it will turn out to be T2 I plus 1 minus T3 I plus 1, plus you can see we will get another T3 from the second term over here. Can I put a Swiggy over here? So, this T3, maybe I can put a coefficient 2 in front over here, because we will just multiply it by 2. Then we will have T4, temperature of node 4 at time I plus 1. So, these are the 3 terms that I will get over here. Then I will also have this 4th term, which I have multiplied by delta x by k. So, this will become E dot delta x square by k. Okay. Please recheck this calculation. If you find any error in it, go ahead and do that, and then we will find rho c divided by k, and there will be a delta x square, because one delta x will come from volume over here, area will get cancelled, and this delta t we are taking outside now. So, this becomes like this delta t, and inside the bracket what is remaining over here is T3 I plus 1 minus T3 I. So, let me go ahead and make the border around this particular, I will make a box around over here. Now, we start seeing some very interesting results. So, I will just pause for a second, let the students figure this thing out, and maybe what I will do is, for simplicity's sake, I will just put these I plus 1's subscript in red color, so that it is very clearly visible to all the students. And then we have I plus 1 over here, and the last one is only I. So, these subscripts become clear. Now, let me ask one or two questions. So, the first question is, what does this term remind us of? So, it is inverse of K divided by rho C. So, of course, this is alpha, which is the thermal diffusivity. So, I can write this right hand side as 1 divided by, let me not use red color, I will use this one, 1 divided by alpha. And when I multiply it by the next term, then it becomes alpha into delta t, which is coming from here, and the numerator is delta x square. So, this is my right hand side in simplified form. Now, what does this term remind us of? So, let me put a circle again. In heat transfer, all the terms start becoming simplified more and more. So, if you remember from previous class lecture, we have defined something called the Fourier number. So, here this thing will turn out to be 1 by Fourier, FO, and it is also given by tau. So, this is the non-dimensionalized time. So, either non-dimensionalized time I can write as Fourier or as tau. Now, this equation has become little bit congested over here. So, let me go to the next slide. I hope you have understood this part, and now I will try to make it more neat and clean. So, all we will remember is we will take into account 1 by Fourier over here. So, what we end up doing is T2 I plus 1 minus 2 T3 I plus 1 plus T4 I plus 1 plus E dot delta x square by k. This whole thing turned out to be 1 by Fourier multiplied by T3 I plus 1 minus T3 I minus T3 I. Let me check if I am doing it correctly. Yes. Now, let us do one more thing. I will multiply it throughout by Fourier. So, I will say multiply throughout by Fourier, and then do some rearranging things over here. By rearranging, what I essentially mean is that I want to take this T3 along with his companion T3 on the left side, because both these are T3 on the I plus 1 time step. So, I want to add them together, put it in one term. Let us go ahead and try and do that. So, what does the first term over here become? It has a coefficient now Fourier. So, Fourier multiplied by T2 I plus 1. What does the second term become? So, I take a Fourier over here, multiply over here, then I add a 1 to it. So, I will get 1 plus twice Fourier into T3 I plus 1. So, this is my second term. Then T4 will simply be multiplied by Fourier. So, this is T4 I plus 1. Then the energy generation term will also be multiplied by Fourier. But all those other terms except for T's, I want to keep on the right hand side. So, what I will get on the right hand side is minus Fourier E dot delta x square divided by k and minus T3i. And for better understanding, let me go ahead and put it in red color over here. And let me make these things red as well. So, this equation I will say that I have found the simplest form of heat transfer equation for node 3 for the transient case. Now comes the interesting part. If you look carefully at this particular equation, you will see there are a lot of terms I have written in purple. All the things which are written in purple are known to us. Only 3 variables which are written in red color, which is T2 I plus 1, which is this one, T3 at time step I plus 1 and T4 at time step I plus 1. These are the only 3 unknowns in this equation, because Fourier number I already know, that is a constant, E dot value I know, delta x I know, k also I know. Now, how about the T3 at time I? How can I say this one I know? There the answer comes that this is actually for the previous time step, which means if I start with the first time step, which I will call as the initial condition. So, initially for all the nodes I know the initial temperature, which means T1, T2, T3 up till T5. For time step 1 I know all those values. Based on that I am calculating T1 up to T5 for time step 2. Once I know those, then for time step 3 they become known, and then so essentially what I am doing, that is the beauty of this particular solution. If I can show it graphically over here, I am actually marching ahead in time in order to solve this thing, which means initially let me assume my whole wall was at 10 degrees temperature. So, I will write, these are of course node 1 to node 5, I don't, maybe I will write them over here. So, this is node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4, node 5, and I start heating them from both sides. So, you remember earlier we used to draw it like this straight line. If you heat it on both sides, what would happen? Some temperature will increase over here, little bit over there, then temperature will increase, then temperature here, here, and let us say finally everything reaches 40 degrees over here. So, then it goes like this. Then we used to draw arrow over here and we say we are marching ahead in time. So, we started with 10 degrees and we moved to 40 degrees. I hope this point is clear to everyone. The same thing we are doing in the finite difference method. We are marching ahead in time, which means the matrix for T, I can write it in this way. If initially everything was 10 degrees, this is 10 degree, this is 10 degree, this is 10 degree. In the next time step, the temperature should come out over here. So, these temperatures I do not know, I will put it in red color. Here temperature I do not know. So, these are the 5 unknowns. These I will solve using this particular equation. Once I know them, then I will write those values over there. So, let me write it in purple color. So, maybe let us say this becomes 12 degrees, this becomes 10.5 degree, this increases only 10.1 degree, this is also 10.5 and this is 12. Which means I will say technically these are all the Tn at I step over here, these are all Tn at time step, sorry, let me rephrase it again, let me do it again, sorry, and I will use the correct color, maybe I will use the blue over here, so that it is matching. At time step 1 over here, these temperatures are for each node at time step 1, and n could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right. Then I will use the purple color. These are also temperatures of node Tn, but these are at time step 2, which were earlier unknown, but because of our calculation we have calculated it. Once we know the temperature at time step 2, they will become known and they will help us evaluate the temperature at time step 3. So, let me go ahead and write that as well. So, let us say at time step 3, this becomes 13 degree, this becomes 12 degree, 11 degree, 12 degree. These are just some numbers I am writing. So what I will say, what do they represent? This is temperature at each node at time step 3. Which is why for the forward movement I have written over here. Now focus on the left hand side of this particular slide where I am putting the stars over here. When I am moving forward, when I am calculating temperature for the time step I plus 1, they are still unknown for me, but the temperature for time step I are known for me. That is why this known value I may write over here in green color. This is known to me, and the red one I will write in the and the unknown value I will write in red color. The same thing I can write for node 4. So this exercise I have done for node 3. Can I do similar exercise for node 4? By symmetry I can go ahead and write that for node 4 I will just change the number. So this will remain 4 here. This will become T3 I plus 1. Then second one will remain same. So I am just copying from this equation over here. 2 into 4 here, T3 will become T4 I plus 1. Then again 4 here. Then this will be T5. This will be I plus 1. Then right hand side will remain Fourier E dot delta x square by k, and here because I am talking about node 4 I will say T4 to the power I, and this I will say is for node number 4. And here again, to make it more explicit, I can put it in red color. This is unknown, this is unknown, this is unknown, and all others are known including the temperature at T4. I think this is the same thing that we did earlier as well. So let us generalize this particular thing with the help of this equation over here. So we can say for all interior nodes, what do we get is something like Fourier Tn minus 1 I plus 1 minus 1 plus 2 Fourier Tn I plus 1 plus Fourier Tn plus 1 I plus 1 is equals to, on the right hand side, Fourier E dot delta x square by k minus Tn I. So this is, I will put a box over here. This is what we have figured out is the general equation where these are the unknowns. I will put in red over here, and all others are known including this one. This is known to me. Okay. Now a little bit less time we are having. So what I am going to do is I will just solve for one more node, maybe for one exterior node, node 1, which is on the boundary over here. This is node 1, node 2, this is boundary, this is 1, this is 2, this is the shaded portion over here. Then this is HL and TL. Here the temperature is T1 and here the temperature is T2. Let us do the energy balance equation over here. So we will put again those red brackets, this plus this is equals to this, where this is sigma q dot, this is all the heat generation, this is essentially mCp del T by del T. So I will remove this dot over here. So very quickly we will go ahead and write this particular equation. So the first term will become, what is the first term for this, all the heat coming in? So convection will be HL A TL minus T1, right? For conduction it will be Ka T2 minus T1 divided by delta x. This will be the first term. Second term is energy generation, E dot A delta x by 2. So please remember this by 2 because this is very important. So I am highlighting it in different color because this is only a half node. You remember this whole thing was delta x, this width is delta x by 2. And then what do we get on the right hand side over there is essentially is equals to m for node 1 Cp and del T by del T, and this one I can write again as density into volume. So volume will be A x by 2, this is my volume. Again, why have I put a 2 over here? Because it's a half note. Then multiplied by C, then differential of temperature as a function of time I will discretize with delta T. So, over here I am talking about node 1. So, again minus 1. Now, I will start putting subscript. So, this one I will keep as I, this will be I plus 1. So, let me write it with some red color over here. So, this is subscript I, this is subscript I plus 1. Then because I am using implicit, I will put a subscript I plus 1 on all the temperatures which actually change. Here I will put I plus 1. So, please remember, here I am not putting any subscript because temperature of the air on the left side does not change with time. So, as we are moving forward, it does not change. So, this one I can simplify, it involves certain steps. So, those steps I can just mention over here. So, I will get minus T1 I plus 1, then bracket start over here, let me see, and what we get is 1 plus twice Fourier 1 plus Biot left. So, it gets little bit long because we have Biot term also coming up, I plus 1 twice Fourier, and on the right hand side there is a long term over here, T1 I minus Fourier E dot delta x square by k, then minus 2 Fourier Biot left into TL. And there are two unknowns over here. These are the only two unknowns, everything else is known in this equation. So, this is the equation for node 1. Node 5 I won't do because we are little bit short on time, and I will go ahead and write that particular matrix once again. So, the same thing we will obtain over here, that a big matrix A T equals to B, which will give us T equals to A inverse B. So, this I will leave as an exercise to student, that how to write the A matrix over here. Again, just make 5 points over here, then 5 by 5 matrix we can create. Temperature one I will write over here. So, this is T1 I plus 1, this is T2 I plus 1, T3 I plus 1, T4 I plus 1 and T5 I plus 1. This whole thing gives me matrix B. So, matrix B will be kind of big. So, we will have 5 terms over here, and these are all constants. So, this will be a constant over here. So, this is a constant, this is also a constant. We just have to solve for this part over here, and this can be easily solved using the simple matrix inverse method. So, what we are doing in the studies in the transient analysis is, with one time step we are marching forward with time. So, we are taking first time step 1, then 2, then 3, then it becomes gradually I plus 1 up till the last time step where we are interested. And how does the final result for this look like? Because I have done it little bit fast over here. So, some students, I think they have to revise it, but very beautiful we get result we get at the end. So, that I want to highlight over here. So, the beautiful results that we are getting is, this is exactly what I mean is, how does temperature march forward in time at different spatial intervals as well. So, I really hope that you enjoyed this very interesting topic on numerical methods. We spent 2 lectures looking at it yesterday and today, and we looked at the very nice and simple finite difference method, and for transient we use the implicit scheme, and for steady state we use the 5 node analysis that we did in lot of detail. And the reason was that I wanted the students to really enjoy it and then be familiar with it. So, with that I thank everyone. We will meet again in the next lecture. Thank you.